So before we dive into this first question, what is the first thing? So we are students. We are now entering a test. We have a trig test in front of us, or we are in our exam. What is the first thing we're going to write at the top of our page when we're nice and calm? Who remembers? The silence is worrying you guys. There we go. Thank you, Sandasile. I almost had a heart attack for a second. We're going to write SOH CAH TOA. Okay. SOH CAH TOA. Oh, I do like this pen. Let's just make it a little bit smaller. So SOH CAH TOA, we have sine, which is opposite over hypotenuse. We have cos, which is adjacent over hypotenuse, and we write TOA, which is opposite over adjacent. Okay. Dog. Yes, SOH CAH TOA. The next thing we're going to do, because we're calm and we're in a good headspace, we haven't read the questions, so we're not stressed yet, is we're going to do something else that we learned a couple of lessons ago. Who remembers what that second thing we're going to do is? This is a newer thing. See if anyone remembers. My hint to you is that it involves a diagram that involves the Cartesian plane. Is ringing any bells? Of course, yes. We're going to find our x, y's, and r's. Okay, so yes, we're going to label x, y, and r. So we're going to draw ourselves a little, we're going to do a little baby Cartesian plane situation. Oh, hello. Okay, let's get a pen happening. So I'm going to just, oh, it doesn't want to work on that pen. Yeah, we're labeling x, y, and r exactly. So we're just going to draw ourselves a little Cartesian plane to help us see what's going on. That's y-axis, that's our x-axis. We're going to draw ourselves a little triangle. We're going to put in our theta, and we're going to label things, okay? So if this is where theta is, then this line would be our hypotenuse. That line would be our adjacent, and that line would be our opposite. Now we have to think about what those would be in terms of x, y's, and r's. What would our hypotenuse be? So this line over here. Would that be x, y, or r, the hypotenuse? R. Beautiful. Okay. Then we are on our x-axis. So what is A? Is A going to be x or y? Good. And then our third one is obviously going to be y. Okay, so now we know what H is, we know what O is, and we know what A is. So we can fill in what this would be with x, y's, and r's. So this would now be y over r. This would be x over r, and this will be y over x. And now that's just going to take you maximum 2 minutes to do at the beginning of a test or an exam. You've got it written right at the top of your piece of paper. So when you start getting stressed in the test, you can't forget because it's there. So I obviously can't force you to do this, but I highly recommend you do, because the worst thing that happens in maths is when you're in a test, when you hit a question that you don't know what to do, you start panicking, and then everything starts spiraling out of control once that panic hits. And so if we can try and avoid that panic, it helps us later on down the road. Okay, we're going to take a moment and we're going to write that out. Now we've got it there, and now we can focus and we can just work through this. Okay, so what we've got over here is we have got two triangles. They are both right angle triangles. And we have got theta, we've got alpha, and we have got beta. So theta is being a little bit annoying. Just to be clear, this is going to be theta in this whole, no, let's not make it, let's make it this angle. Okay. And then we've got sides that are P, C, M, and N. Okay. So let's have a look at our first question. Our first question is asking us how we would write it as a ratio, so like a fraction. Remember, when it says ratios, it just means fractions. How we would write sine alpha. So we're going to find alpha in our triangle. You're going to label your sides. Okay. And by label the sides, I mean label them with your O's, H's, and A's. and we're only dealing with alpha, which means you're only dealing with that triangle over there. And I would like to know what sine alpha is going to be as a fraction using the letters P, C, and T. Okay, so that's my first question to you. Okay, we've got our first answer coming in. Let's see if people agree or disagree. How can I help? Oh, okay. Okay, so Chelsea, just be careful that you're working in the right triangle if we're dealing with alpha. Keep those answers coming. You know, I don't mind if they're right or wrong, as long as you're trying. And then we'll go over it so you can see why. Okay, let's try go through this. So if this is alpha over here, when I label my triangle, the first thing I want to label is my hypotenuse. Your hypotenuse is always the side that is opposite the right angle. So that's my hypotenuse. Okay. Then the other side that my angle is touching is going to be my adjacent. And the opposite side is going to be opposite. Okay. So now we've labeled our triangle. So if I'm looking for sine, then I care about opposite over hypotenuse. So my opposite is P and my hypotenuse is T. I saw quite a few people had C over T, and so you were just confusing your O and your A. So just be careful about how you label your triangle, and then just make sure you're working in the correct triangle. Okay, that was our first one. Let's see. Next one we're trying to find is tan beta. So let's find beta over here. Beta's down here, which means we are going to be dealing with this triangle. So now that we have beta, I want you to find tan beta, and you're going to be using these small letters. So think about what you're going to have. And remember, when you're in a test situation, you'll be able to highlight whatever you want to highlight. So you'll be fine. Okay, so if I'm labeling this triangle, first I'm going to start with my hypotenuse. Then the side that's next to my beta is going to be my adjacent, and then that would be my opposite. So now if we're dealing with tan, we care about opposite over adjacent. And so we care about T over N. So far in this test, if you got the first one right, you got 1 mark. If you got this one right, you have got 2 marks so far. So let's see how the rest of this goes. I just want to get rid of beta because it's confused people. Okay, cool. All right, now the one where you have to think a little bit. So these two you didn't have to think. The next one you have to think, because you know I like it when you use your brains. Next one we have is cos 90 minus beta. I'm going to let you ponder that for a second. How can I help?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Usually, ma'am, when we get something like this in class, ma'am, my teacher said every time we deal with a special, ma'am, what do you call it, a special angle, we have to find it. we have to find it without using a calculator, ma'am. How do we
Okay,
do that?
so special angles are angles like 30, 45, 60, 90. They are special triangle angles.
180, yes, ma'am.
They're ones that you just have to know. So it's something where I'm going to say something which your maths teacher is going to not enjoy me for, but this is the truth. It says on your test, you cannot use a calculator, right? But what that
Yes.
really just means is show all of your working. So you don't need to remember what cos 60 is because you have your calculator. So if you saw a question that said cos 60, you can type into your calculator cos 60 and you will see that it is a half. And then in that question, wherever you see cos 60, you would write a half. So when they're saying don't use your calculator, they mean show every step of working, not so much learn this all off by heart. Your teacher will tell you to learn it off by heart. You don't have to because you have your calculator.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you. One more question before I go. Can I ask, ma'am, when are we gonna do graphs, ma'am? Because right now
We're doing
graphs
functions next. We start functions next week.
next week. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Sure. Celia, there you go. You see how your question has helped others. So don't panic because you have your calculator in a trig test. Like, use it. You just have to show all your steps of working. I'm very curious if anyone has managed to figure out 1.1.3. Does anyone feel good about it? Who thinks that they can give me an answer? Okay. How many degrees are in a triangle? How many degrees are in a triangle? 180. Okay. We all know a triangle has 180 degrees. This plus this plus this is 180. Yeah? Okay. This is 90. So what does that mean this angle and this angle have to equal? So if I added those two angles together, what do they have to equal? 90. Exactly, Unati. Okay, this angle plus this angle have to equal 90 degrees because 90 plus 90 is going to give me 180 degrees, which is a triangle. Now this is saying 90 minus beta. So we know that those two together are going to give me 90, which means this angle in here is 90 minus beta. This little corner one in here. Because 90 minus beta plus 90 will give me 180 degrees, which is all of my angles of a triangle. So they love asking questions like this. They often will give you a question where they'll have a right angle here, and then they'll give you a theta over there, and they'll say, what is 90 minus theta? It's just this angle over here. It's just going to be your third angle of that triangle, because we know that those two angles need to equal 90, and so this angle in here would be 90 minus theta. Okay, so don't panic. It's nice and easy. When they say that, it's always just going to be the other angle in the triangle. So we now know that we're dealing with this angle over here. So in that case, this is still my hypotenuse, but now this is my adjacent and this is my opposite. So if I'm looking for cos 90 minus beta, I'm looking for cos of that angle that we have just found. And cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, which means it will be t over m. The most important takeaway from this question, because it does come up quite a lot, is that when you have a right angle triangle and you have an angle that has been given to you. So let's say that this is A, B, C. You've got a right angle triangle and you've got theta. This angle in here is always going to be 90 minus theta. If that, because think about it logically, if this angle, let's make it with numbers, because that might make it a bit clearer. Okay. If this was 60 degrees, then what would that third angle be? what would my angle A be? 30. Exactly, guys. Because those two together, 30 plus 60, have to equal 90 because 90 plus 90 is 180. And so this angle over here lands up becoming 90 minus 60, which is 30 degrees. Okay. And so we're using this logic, except instead of numbers, we're using angles. So we're saying we don't know what this angle is. We're calling this angle theta. But we know that this angle over here is then just going to be 90 minus theta. So they love throwing this question in there to trick people, but it's not a tricky question. Just know that it's going to be the other angle of your triangle. Okay. This was our first little entry into trig. Hope I haven't scared anyone off just yet. So if you're wanting to keep tabs on how you're doing in this mini little test, it's just for you. It's not for anyone else. Remember, we learn a lot by making mistakes, so don't panic. But if you are wanting to keep score, up to this point, we would be out of 4. Okay. Cool. Oh no, one of those questions died. I don't know what I've written though. I'm gonna have to try and remember what I wrote. I had to sing because Coco didn't sing for you on Thursday. We'll always remember. Oh, sure. Yeah, you can take a screenshot. Let me try to get the whole page in. Buchli, I can't repeat all of that because we're 23 minutes into the lesson. So then we would be finishing our lesson at the end of these questions. But you are welcome to watch the video again, which will be on the screen. And not on the screen, but on the website. Okay. Okay. Next one. If A is 26.5 degrees and B is 61.7 degrees, use your calculator. So they are telling us we can use our calculator to determine the value of the following to 2 decimal places. Okay. So I'm going to help you with this first one because we didn't do questions like this together and I just don't want you to fall apart. All this is a form of substitution. Okay. So the first one is just saying we have tan 26,5 degrees all over 2. And we're going to put it into our calculator exactly like that. So we're going to push the fraction key. We're going to say tan, and then the bracket will open, and we're going to say 26,5. We're going to close that bracket. We're going to put it over 2, and we're going to push equals, and I get 0,24929, blah, 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 blah. And it says to 2 decimal places. So we have to be careful with this 9, 0,25. And that's our answer. Okay. So I've helped you with the first one. The second one is a little bit nasty. I'm not going to lie. 1.2.3 is the least nasty. Yeah. 0,24, but rounded it's 0,25 because of the 9. Exactly. 1.22 is nasty. I'm not going to lie. But if someone gets it right, think about how amazing that would be. So you just try. You try your best. I will tell you, as a little helping hand, that sine squared theta is the same as sine theta all squared. That's my hint. That's a big time hint. So give 1.2.2 a try and give 1.2.3 a try, and then I'll go over both with you. You entered it before me. Ah. That 2a, I know, the 2a is nasty. What does this 2a mean? What does it mean when we have a number right next to a number next to a letter like that? Mom?
Ma'am, it means that we're multiplying it, ma'am. Ma'am, this is it's too easy. Too easy.
Too easy, my word.
Ah.
I'll get you later, don't you worry. Don't you worry. I have some sneaky gems hidden in this page. Okay. So let's have a look what this would look like. If I was writing this out in my calculator, the way I would write it is we would say sine, and then in here, 2 times 26,5 all squared. That's how I would write it in my calculator. So I would push bracket, sine, 22 times 26,5, close bracket, squared. And you get 0,64, which was 0,637, but the 7 makes a 3 become a 4. So a big well done to those of you who got 0,64. If you wanted to do it in 2 steps, you could first find what sine 2a is. So first find this and then square that number. So you could first say sine 2 times 26,5, close the bracket. I don't know if you can see, it might be a bit dark, and you push equals, and then you land up with a number. So that number would be 0,7986, blah, 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 but you're just keeping it in your calculator, so you don't need to do anything fancy. And then you square that number and you push equals, and you will get the correct answer. Functions is not going to scare you. I'm going to make you love functions because I love functions. You will love it.
I'm with you there, ma'am. I also love functions. It's so cool.
So cool. Okay, last one shouldn't be too nasty. Give it your best go. Cos A plus B. Shouldn't be too nasty. You're just substituting in numbers. And I want it to 2 decimal places. So in your calculator, you should have cos 26,5 plus 61,7. And then equals. And you should get 0,03. So big well done to everyone who got that. Yes, 0 is a digit. Yes. Cool. Nice job, guys. Let's move on down. Good work. Okay. My favorites. Some equations. Woo. Okay. So, previous questions answer. Yeah, it's a light blue one. Some equation work. We did it a while ago. I'm going to start with just these first 2. So now in your trig tests or exams, they'll often say solve for x or solve for theta if it is an acute angle. An acute angle just means that the angle is less than 90 degrees. Okay. Now at the moment that might not make sense because you'll be like, well, it's the number that I get on my calculator. But the thing is with trig, I don't want to confuse anyone, but when we get into trig functions, which is what we're going to do after functions, your trig function looks like this. Well, for sine and cos, it's a wave. Okay. And so, and on the x-axis, we use angles. So it's 0 at multiple times because it would be at 0 at all those times on the x-axis. So it can be an answer, and it can be an answer later and an answer later and an answer later. So, but we'll get into all of that when we do trig functions. But the most important thing I want you to take from this is that in the question, if it says that it's an acute angle, or if it says that theta has to be between 90 and 0, I don't want you to panic about it. You can basically ignore it. Whatever answer you get in your calculator is the answer you write down. Okay, I'm just explaining why that's written there. But we get to just pretend it's not there until we get to grade 11, where we do have to care. Okay, so 1.4.1, I would like you to find the value of x. Let's see if you remember. What's my married couple here? Who are the people I'm trying to keep alone on one side? Sine and x, nice job, Portia. We're trying to isolate that. That might help. And we're looking for an angle. And when we're looking for an angle, we use shift. I'm going to give you a little bit more time, and then I'll go through this with you. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to move that 4 onto the other side. So basically, I'm dividing both sides by 4 so that that 4 can go away. So I land up with sine x is equal to 1 over 4. Now I'm looking for an angle. But Elizwa is the first person to have given me a beautiful degrees, I think. Oh, no, I see some people have written degrees. All of these first answers, Coco, no degrees, no units.
They're wrong. They're still talking about wheels of cheese, man.
They are talking about wheels of cheese. That is exactly what they're talking about. All the cheese. Okay, so we've got sine x is equal to a quarter. So we need to go into our calculator. We're going to say shift sine fraction 1 over 4. Thank you for those degrees coming in. The cheese and Kosi. Okay, and we land up with x is equal to 14,48 because there's a 7 following the 7 degrees. Okay. Cool. Emmanuel, can I help? Yeah.
Ma'am, I wanted to know, why do we have to press shift sign instead of just pressing sign?
So when we're just dealing with sine, we're dealing with the sine's angle. So like if I just write sine 30, that is saying sine of 30 degrees. But if I don't know what those degrees are, we have to use something called arc sine. And arc sine is what we get when we put it in shift in our calculator. You'll see it comes up as something like that. That's arc sine. So that means we're looking for an angle. So when we're looking for a side, then we don't push shift. And when we're looking for an angle, we push shift. No problem. Happy to help. Okay. 1.4.2. What you're trying to isolate is this, and it is already isolated. So half of the hard work has been done for you. Now let's see if you remember where you go to from here. Ah, finally, I'm seeing some degrees. Okay, so our trig ratio is already isolated, which means we can go straight into our calculator. So at this point, we're going to say, shift cos 0,84, and then we're going to push equals. So that's what we're going to currently do. And in your calculator, it should look like this: cos to the -1, 0,84. That's what it should look like in your calculator. So shift cos 0,84, close off that bracket. And I get 32,859. I'm going to keep a whole lot of these decimal places. That's telling me that this angle, so x minus 20, is equal to 32,85988. Okay. But that's not my final answer, because I want to know what x is.
Ma'am, degrees.
Oh my gosh, and now I've done it in a highlighter. There we go.
Thank you.
Okay. Once I've gotten to this point, I'm still looking for x. Okay. I still want x to be alone. And at the moment, I've got this annoying minus 20 happening on that side. I'm going to move that minus 20 onto the other side. When I move it onto the other side, I plus it. And so what x lands up becoming is 52,86 degrees. Guys, I'm seeing a couple of messages coming through to me as direct messages. I missed them because I'm teaching. So I sort of glance at the chat sometimes. Most of the times I'm on the screen. So if you are needing a little bit more help or you would like clarification on the question, please send Coco a direct message. She's amazing and she will help you. I just don't want your questions to get lost in the chat. Okay. I'm not ignoring them. I just missed them because I'm looking at the screen. Okay, so our answer is 52,86 degrees. Very big well done to those of you who have gotten this far. I am proud of you. Let's do one more equation and then I think it's time for a brain break. Okay. Last equation. 2 tan 3x is equal to 2,221. That is our trig ratio that we are trying to isolate before we use our calculator. So first isolate what I've got in pink, then move on to your calculator, and then isolate your x.
Ma'am, could I just bother you and ask you to move up just a little bit for me?
Yeah, of course.
Just to 1.4.1.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. You can go
No
back now.
problem. I can keep it there if it helps.
It makes no difference now,
Okay.
but it's okay. Thank you.
Okay, once you've got answers for 1.4.3, send them in, put them on the chat so that I can see what's going on. Is it 2 tan x minus 3? No, it's 2 tan 3 times x. The only thing that's different here is I haven't put it in brackets because I'm being sneaky. So I'm saying 2 tan 3x. It's the same thing. No problem. We're going to have okay, so first step is we need to obviously get rid of this 2. So the 2 is in our way. So first things first is let's divide by that 2. So those 2's cancel. So I land up with tan 3x is equal to 2,221 divided by 2, which gives us 1,1105. Now remember, when you're working, don't round off your decimal places. You only round them off right at the end when you have your final answer. Okay. All right, from here, we can now jump into our calculator. So now at this point, we can say shift tan 1,1105. So shift tan 1,1105, close that bracket, and we get 3x is equal to 47,99711. That'll be enough decimal places for us. we are trying to find out what x is. So now we have to divide everything by 3. And so our final answer is 15,99903. And if we were wanting to round this off to 2 decimal places, that 9 is going to make this 9 go up, which is going to make that 9 go up. And so what we land up with is 16,00 degrees. Now, if you said 16 degrees, I would give you the mark because I never said anywhere in the question to 2 decimal places. I would have given you the mark. But remember, if it says to 2 decimal places, those zeros need to be there. Nice work, guys. I hope it's like coming back to you and you're feeling good about life and good about trig. That's what I'm hoping. Okay. Good. Brain break time. Those of you who are new, this has nothing to do with trig. If you don't understand it, it's not the end of the world. It's just something to give your brain a bit of a break from the trig. I am wanting to know what that red triangle is. What is the red triangle? And if you get the right answer, you have to be able to explain it. So you can't just guess. You have to tell me why it is what it is. No, not 0. Ah, Katiso, well done. And Owami. Do either of you and Narata, do any of you feel comfortable? Oh, let's give everyone a chance, but then Owami, it's all yours, okay? But let's just give people a chance to get there. Okay, Owami, take it away. Tell me how to work this out. Where did you go? You were right here just now. And now you've disappeared. Oh, hold on. I might be able to unmute you.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Okay. So I did. What's this? And then so the circles is 5 plus 5 is giving me 10.
Good. Good.
And then we went here. We said, I did it wrong. Yeah. Oh my gosh, where did I get that? No, I got it right. No, I got it right. No, I got it wrong. Okay, you can ask someone else.
When we get to this point here, we have to think 5 times something that has to happen first, and then we have to add the same thing. So that makes our yellow square 2. Because 5 times 2 is 10, 10 plus 2 is 12. Okay, that means that this is 2. So now we've got 5 times 2, which is 10, minus triangle times 5, and then my answer has to be 5. So I know that this has to be 5, which means my triangle has to be 1. Well done to everyone who got 1. I'm chuffed. Nice job. Okay. Back into trig. Coco, did you not get 1?
I don't even understand how I'm a maths teacher right now, ma'am. I didn't get anything.
It's because they shapes. It's shapes and colors.
Ma'am, give me X's, sine, cos, tan any day, but no, ma'am.
Don't worry, it's okay.
Guys, next class is our turn. We're gonna get it right. Don't worry.
Exactly. Next class is your turn. Okay, now I'm going to write the things that we've already figured out at the top here, because if you were in a test situation, you would have had it for your whole test, okay? So we've got SOH CAH TOA, which we would have written at the top of our test. And we would have written that sine is y over r, cos is x over r, and tan is y over x. Okay, so that would have already been written at the top of your test page. I'm just writing it here. Okay, We're in multiple colors. Okay, I'll remember that and give you a number one next time. Okay, so we have been given a Cartesian plane, and we've been given point P, which is -8 and -6, and we've been given theta. And they are wanting us to determine the length of OP. So how do we do that? What is the name I'm looking for? It's an old maths name. Owami. What am I thinking?
I think is it Pythagoras?
It is
No.
Pythagoras. You are
Oh, wow,
correct.
look at that.
Ding, 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 ding. Okay. So, ooh, guys, I can't draw a straight line. Oh, no. Oh, no. That's better. Okay. It's a right angle triangle. And so we're going to do Pythagoras. And now, and this is actually one of Pythagoras triples triangles. So it's one that you can actually do without anything fancy. But let's just fill in the information we know. Okay. Coordinates. So when I'm saying coordinates, I'm meaning these guys that are in the brackets. What is first and what is second? What is that -8? Sandesile.
Ma'am, our -8 is x and -6 is y.
Beautiful. -8 is x and -6 is y. That means that this is -8 and this is -6, and we are looking for that line over there. We are looking for our hypotenuse. Okay, so if we take a moment to just put this all in, it helps us. Now, the rules of Pythagoras is that our hypotenuse squared is equal to the sum of our other two sides squared. Okay, so what that means is OP squared is equal to -6 squared plus -8 squared, and then we have to give our reason, Pythagoras. Okay, so OP squared is equal to 34 plus 64, which means OP squared is equal to 100. And so if I want to know what just OP is, I'm going to square root 100 and I get 10. Now I have 10. Now, once I have figured that out, before I look at my next questions, what am I going to write on the side of this to help me? What am I going to write down? Any suggestions welcome? Yes, Kumba, that is what I'm going to write down. I'm going to write down what I have. Okay, we are looking for X's, Y's, and R's. Oh, it took a turn, Kumba, but I still like where your head was at. Okay, so we're looking for X, Y's, and R's, and we're going to fill in exactly what we have. What is my X value? -8. There we go. What is my Y value? -6. What is my R value? 10. And now we have this. Okay, so once we've done that hard work with Pythagoras, before we even read the next question, we write down what X's, what Y's, and what R's. And we've already got this beautiful cloud from earlier in our test. So now we're actually sorted because we have everything we could possibly need. Doesn't matter what they ask us. Okay. So the next question that they are asking us is, what would sine theta be? Now, everything you need is up on the screen. I would like you to give me the answer of what sine theta is equal to. Don't overthink it. I'm not looking for theta. I'm not looking for an angle. I want to know what sine theta is. Okay, we've got our first answer coming in. See if you agree, if you disagree. Okay, sine theta is y over r. Y is -6. I'm just going to write this. It would be y over r. Y is -6. R is 10. You can leave it like that, or you can simplify it down to -3 over 5. Either one of those is great. So any one of those is great. Piso, if you said -0,6, it's okay, but it's telling you without the use of a calculator. So where possible, leave it as a fraction. See, I'm trying to be careful of your signs. That's why we write this box, to make sure we know what's negative and what's positive. Nice job, Patiso. Okay, next one. I want to know what 4 tan theta plus cos theta is. And remember, we can't use our calculators. So that means because it says this, we have to, all that means is show all working out. That's all that means. No, I haven't done geometry yet. We will only be doing geometry in term 3. So don't panic. Oh my gosh, and grade 10 geometry is so fun because we learn all the circle theorems. Do we do that in grade 11 now? I don't remember. No, not special angles. Special angles only is when you see 30 degrees, 60 degrees, 45 degrees, 90 degrees. Those questions would be special angle questions. I'll put one in for our lesson on Thursday to show you how to do it without a calculator. Okay, so just do your best with this one. 4 tan theta plus cos theta. Give me my answer. No, quizzes on Thursdays. You're going to do a poll today. So I think we're going to stop on this question. Okay, tan theta, tan is y over x, which means it's -6 over -8, plus cos theta, which is x over r. So -8 over 10. Okay, that's our first step. It's just getting to this point over here. Now I'm just going to do some simplification at this point. Okay, so I can see that I've got negatives here, so negative and a negative is going to become a positive, and I'm going to do some cross simplification. Maybe not even do cross simplification. So I've got 4 times 6, which is 24 over 8, plus a negative and a positive is a negative, so this is going to be a negative, and I'm going to have 8 over 10, which is going to simplify down to 4 over 5. Okay. Now 24 divided by 8 is 3. So 3 minus 4 over 5. I'm running out of space. So I'm going to have to move up here. Now, so at the moment, I've got 3 over 1 minus 4 over 5. Now remember, because they told us we can't use our calculator, we have to show every single step of working. Okay. And so that means we need a common denominator of 5. So I need to multiply that by 5, and I need to multiply that by 5. And I get 15 minus 4 over 5, and 15 minus 4 is 11 over 5. Now, if from this step you went into your calculator and you got that answer as a fraction, you would only lose 1 mark. Okay, so the most important step to get correct here, like the most important step, the one that really matters, is writing this one down correctly and then writing that second step down correctly. And if you can do those, you would get the bulk of the marks. I'm not too stressed if the wheels have fallen off the wagon in this little area where I've got the arrow. If the wheels fell off there, it's okay. If you got this yellow step and this yellow step, then I'm happy. If your answer is in decimals, then we use the calculator. And so we're not going to get the mark because they told me at the beginning that we weren't allowed to use our calculator. So we can use our calculator, but we also can't, if that makes sense. And on that lovely note, guys, we will finish going over the rest of some trig revision on Thursday, but we're going to do a quick poll. And then on Thursday, we will do our quiz. So Coco, I'm handing over to you.
All right, guys, again, something's going to